Those who are betting for Tesla to succeed are now seeing the stock rise. But imagine what's happening to you if you are one of those Tesla shorts who are betting for Tesla to fail. Today, we'll share several of Elon Musk's warnings to Tesla shorts, with Tesla being one of the most shorted US stocks with $21.21 billion, with 100.3 million shares shorted. While Tesla shorts were profitable this year, they completely fell off the cliff after shareholders approved Musk's pay package. Bill Gates, Danny Moses, and others, this is your final warning. So I've got Brian White joining us. He's the host of his channel called FutureAza. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, Herbert, this is so much fun. I love the fact that these guys have been assuring us on social media, these very real, very concerned people, that first of all, the shareholder back pay vote is not going to pass. Right. And it passed. And that this quarter is going to be abysmal. And they keep lowering estimates and they beat them. How many times do you get to be wrong? Well, it turns out the number is finite when it comes to shorting, because while you can gain 100, 200%, you can also lose the whole pile of money. And if Bill Gates wants to be a millionaire, keep shorting Tesla.
That's the warning that Elon is giving to Bill and others. But let's talk shorts. Why do people short Tesla stock? I mean, certainly it's a big cap. It's an auto, very difficult market, competition, low margins. All that could make sense, and not.
It's the volatility. It's the volatility. You know, you can make money on the quick swing up and the quick swing down. The worst thing for an options trader is a stock that doesn't move. It has to move in one direction or the other, ideally both. And I'm sure you and I have both met people, I know I have, who have made money in both directions on options. But you need that volatility. And I don't have a problem with that by itself. My problem is when those people have enough money that they go out and try and put their finger on the scale and influence movements, because there are other people who are losing. So if it's going to move in the short term, they don't think it's going to necessarily fail over the long term or necessarily win over the long term. They just think that they're smarter than the market and have an advantage over those lightning fast algorithms designed by armies of engineers, many of whom I've met, who are brilliant people whose whole job it is to come out 0.1% ahead over a 3-hour stretch in the overnight market, things like that. And the only way they can have an advantage is by creating an unfair one. And so when they lose money, even after having what I would call cheated, it makes me a little bit happy.
Yeah, it's like, I think I'm not talking about the options traders. What I'm shocked is people who are betting on the long term. And here you are betting on a company that has proven that they have technology, innovation in their blood. That's not the company you want to put the bet on. You want to put something on a very poorly run company. But okay, that's your call. Let's take a look at what people are saying about this. So Steve Mark Ryan posted this and Elon responded to it. He's, Tesla delivers. So this is right after the P&D report. Delivers a few more vehicles than expected, plus 9%. The stock jumps. Tesla on the cusp of autonomy, negative 50% from all-time highs, negative 8% year to date. So people only respond buying the stock based on a few vehicles being produced versus something revolutionary, and they just don't get it. Short-term, short-sighted nature of investors in a nutshell. Can't wait to see what happens when people figure out robotaxis are happening and the implications. And he posted the screenshot of the jump. This was a few days ago. It jumped up. And Elon replied to him saying, yeah, this is small relative to vehicle autonomy and Optimus. And then Yaman posted this, what do you say to Tesla bears? And Omar's laughing, makes a joke about it. Elon replied, once Tesla fully solves autonomy and has Optimus and volume production, anyone still holding a short position will be obliterated, even Gates. So this is the weird part, why somebody would short Tesla. If they're just a car company, you can short them because you can say, hey, right? Other cars will come in and their market lead's gone. They won't have any competitive advantage. But this is a company that's making full self-driving, making Optimus. And if you're called it wrong in the short, what Elon is saying, that even if you're a billionaire like Gates, you could lose all your money. What's your thoughts on that?
It's true. There, on the upside, if you buy options that say it's going to go up, you can make infinity dollars or thereabout. Uh, but if it goes down, there's a finite amount you can make. You can only collect premiums all the way down to about zero. So the amount you can gain shorting is not equal to the amount you can gain going long. And it's insane to me to think that there are people who haven't learned this lesson. We watched in 2020, we watched $20 billion erased from hedge funds and short sellers who were just sure that they knew better. And the beauty for us as investors is nothing motivates Elon quite like revenge. And the only way to get revenge on short sellers is by making the company hugely successful over the very long term. And it's, I tell you that I still know people who would never imagine investing in Tesla, but I hope that they're at least wise enough to not bet against it, because it is not a good bet.
There's a guy named Danny Moses. He's famously one of the shorts. He's been at this for a long time. And so Jeff Flood said, time to start doing wellness check on Danny. Let's listen to what he actually is still saying.
For it to head to $50 here on our show last November. So how do you feel about it now?
For someone who cares so much about the human race, he is firing a lot of humans at this moment, and everything's kind of falling apart in their core business. So what's he doing? He's pointing everybody to robotaxis and AI and autonomy and all that. At the same time, the DOJ is now, Reuters is reporting, is investigating this for wire fraud, et cetera, because he's been selling a product that doesn't exist. So we have August 8th is this unveiling of Robotaxi Day, and before that's going to be the vote. Shareholders are probably going to grant him $56 billion in options, obviously, here. A big news event that I don't think got enough play was an investment into a company called Wave, which has been around now for 7 years, by SoftBank, by NVIDIA, and a follow-on by Microsoft, Bill Gates personally, et cetera. $1 billion just got injected. This company is now in the process. They are using autonomy right now for driving in cities. And so I don't think people paid attention to that enough. I'm invested in a venture capital fund, Compound, that actually has an investment. They were there early 7 years ago, so just for full disclosure. So I've been up on the story for a long time. I think people really need to see, and I think the more time that goes by here and their core business is coming under pressure, I think this move to own it for robotaxis and AI is going to fade over time. So 150 billion market cap at $50 seems like a reasonable valuation to me.
You're still short, and you're looking forward to head to 50.
Yeah, staying short.
This was a month or two before. He was staying short. The company, the dollar you saw there was $171. He thought it was going to fall to $50. Now it's well over $250 and back up again. And he's like his thinking, right? Of course, he I don't know. First, he insulted Elon, saying this for a guy who likes the future. He's firing people. Okay?
How dare a company,
a CEO fire people? That's his first statement. So that tells you something a little bit.
Red flag.
Then he says, right, then he's, the company's falling apart. Then he talks about Wave, this startup who's somehow going to be able to compete with Tesla. Even if Wave succeeds, even if he's right, the market's so big for self-driving, you can have multiple winners. Doesn't mean Tesla's going to be like gone. It's $150 billion market cap, so $50 a share is what he thinks it's worth.
So he starts with just a gish gallop of absolute nonsense, and then tries to say therefore, and shares a conclusion that you and I know is ridiculous, but anyone with the capacity to reason should say, well, if he's wrong about all of the premises leading up to it, he's certainly wrong about the real thing too. When IBM was first making personal computers, the same things were said. They're not going to survive because everybody's going to make personal computers. And guess what? Everybody has made personal computers, but IBM has remained strong and successful because they do things a little different and a little better. And like Tesla, they used it as their way to step outside and do other things, like invent Watson, which is a commercial product and has been for years. It does medical diagnostics in ways that humans simply can't. So it does, just because, and Wave Come on, man. Zoox already has autonomous cars on the market, commercial. In Vegas, they shuttle people around. Does that mean Zoox is going to win, or that Zoox was able to find a sufficiently narrow use case that their narrow approach is actually capable of providing a product to the market? We don't need every company to make true everywhere all the time level 5 for them to succeed. There are ways you can do it without reaching that level. And if for some reason Wave is the true world's best only real level 5, does that mean there's no room in the market for Tesla? Because there is still room, even if Tesla is somehow not as good. So it's ignoring all of the things. It'd be like saying no company except Starbucks is going to survive, or Tully's, or whoever. Dutch Brothers is the only company that's going to survive in the future. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think he's wrong on everything. And I loved seeing his level of resignation already when the stock was still vastly cheaper than it already is now. I can only imagine just how salty and delicious his tears are today.
Yeah. I think it's one thing about the stock. So stock can go 50. Yeah, it can absolutely fall to 50. But when he's talking about the business and the products, that's where you shake your head. This is the company that you're going to bet against, and you think you're going to fall. So, okay.
It's a head scratcher. He believes I'm sure he's made some very successful bets in the past, but a bet is still just a bet. Even if you've studied the odds, even if you think this horse is definitely going to win, it's still a bet. And sometimes bets come back and don't pay out the way you expected them to. And the bookie is knocking at your door. So
bookie's knocking, and it looks like here, this guy, we don't know if this is true or not. He's just saying word on the street is Danny Moses is down over 60% in his short position against Tesla. Shame, shame, shame. How the hell do these people keep raising money for investors with such losses? So, okay, well, sometimes shorts will win, sometimes we will win, but it still just shocks me. So here's information about who the Tesla shorts are, and they were winning. So they were profitable this year until the shareholder approved Musk pay package. So Tesla is one of the most shorted U.S. stocks. Tesla shorts have big losses in June, are losing their year-to-date gains.
So one thing to realize about Tesla is when it comes to shorting, when it comes to trading, you're only allowed to buy shares that are within the float. And the float, from that, you should subtract out things like Elon shares. They're not for sale today. You can't buy them, not at any price. The same is true of the index funds. Those funds that were bought by index funds that track, if Tesla's 1% of the market, we need 1% Tesla in our portfolio. Those should be subtracted from the float. You can't buy them, not at any price. So it makes it so if you take the whole market cap, you say, well, it's 600 million, 700 million. It's really, half of that. Half of that is not available for purchase, but the other half is. That's still a lot of shares. It ignores the fact that people like me are not selling. I know personally investors with millions of dollars in Tesla who are not selling. They're still counted as part of the float. Their shares are available technically, but they are not. They will not sell at any price. They will sell at a time. When I hit this age, when I hit, when something happens that hasn't happened yet. Things like, for me, the only thing that would make me sell it today is if it became a blue chip company that's paying dividends instead of growth. We're done growing. The growth is a thing of the past. We're not looking at new markets, new expansion. We're just Coca-Cola now. I'm not here for that. I would look at other opportunities. So the float is actually much, much smaller than it appears on paper. So when there is a movement up specifically, it makes it go a lot quicker because there are just not enough shares out there to be bought. And then if you get a little bit of a short squeeze, all of a sudden people have to cover. They're buying up more shares. It creates a pretty bad cascading effect for people who are short the stock.
Yeah, it's interesting that we even allow shorting where you don't own anything and you're like betting for it, and then you have to buy it only if it falls. Okay, so when it rises. So Tesla continues to be a popular stock to short for investors, with some betting against a lofty valuation compared to other automotive companies, while others are betting against Elon Musk. So short interest in Tesla currently stands at 21 billion with 100 million shares shorted. This is according to S3 Partners. Tesla ranks as the fourth most shorted stock. At one point, they were the number one, but now they're NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft. So, these are big companies that are at the top. People think that they're about to fall. I think the difference, again, other than NVIDIA, Apple and Microsoft, I guess I better not just say that, but basically all these companies, you think that they've grown past their britches and they're not going to have any further innovation and development. And so they certainly can fall, right? When something's at the very high, it can certainly fall. But again, it's like timing. If you're option trading and you think it's going to fall in the next 3 months, that's great. But if you think that this company is going to die or overvalued to $50, that's the weird part about this whole thing. That's my thinking. Is this weird? So yeah, that's just too much.
And that's the thing is, you look at NVIDIA, I get, because it had such a big run up. It's not uncommon for a company to have a big run up and then falter. But Apple and Microsoft seem like interesting choices to me. I don't know. I don't see them having big swings in either direction. So I don't know why those would be so heavily shorted. Maybe it's a bunch of new investors who just heard about short selling and they're jumping in, but it seems like a lot of money is on the table for that strategy. And I certainly can't get inside their heads. And I hope at least they have good therapists.
I don't understand shorting. I guess I need to understand them, talk to them, because for me, it's like these four companies and basically any company could at any point invent a miracle cure. So these four specifically, they've already shown that they can revolutionize an industry. They can create new inventions, their innovations. So maybe they have something that you haven't heard about that's sitting there, and then they're going to turn it out. And then if it succeeds, you're in trouble. Like it's such a risk to me for these particular companies.
So I had a chat with a chip designer from IBM within the last year, and I was talking with him about Dojo, and I said, is this revolutionary? Do we see things in it that we don't see from others? And he had to say yes, but kind of. What we don't see is what the others are working on. While Tesla showed Dojo years before it was ready for scale production, the other guys have stuff that you will not see for years until it is released. So the idea that NVIDIA has got all these amazing chips today, but nothing in the pipeline, they don't already have the next 2 or 3 big things, is a mistaken assumption. It doesn't. So it would be insane for NVIDIA to release the only thing they have with no plans moving forward. So they would, so we don't get to see what the other guys are doing. NVIDIA's biggest likely disruptor for its current chips is its own next chips, because they are very good at what they do. They have the best engineers, it appears, in terms of chip design. So I think you're right about Apple and Microsoft being more mellow companies, more predictable companies, certainly less likely to 10x. NVIDIA's fate is more predicated on what happens with AI over the next few years and whose chips manage to catch up. And I think what we're going to see is from AMD and Intel and all the other guys, they're working on this, but they are in the position that a lot of electric car makers are with Tesla, where they're trying to benchmark against something that is already going to be out of date.
Oh, well, what I've learned in history is that you don't bet against, it's the market size. And you can have a company that falters, terrible business, terrible management, and still succeed if the market is completely massive and continue to grow. So I think the part that I want to talk to you about is the people betting against Elon Musk. So, I could see that they think that he might be a salesman who's just, completely exaggerating everything. They might say, look, I point out 8 examples where he said something would happen and it hasn't happened. And so that's where he thinks that they're just kind of like, just hawking it, right? Just complete lying of this new tech. But then, okay, if you believe that, I can see your argument. But then if you flip it, you can also see that he's been very successful with a lot of things that people thought would never succeed, and he did it. I mean, take a look at the SpaceX, where that rocket is actually reusable and is landing now. And take a look at Neuralink, where you actually have a beta where a human actually has that. And again, the electric vehicle, #1 selling electric vehicle today, profitable. So I don't know why you would bet against him when he's got probably way more evidence on the side that he's actually proven that he's in fact, that weird part to me is like he should be in the running for the best business person alive today for sure, but possibly best business person maybe, forever, depending on how you evaluate it. But
so there's confirmation bias available on both sides.
Yeah.
You and I are very good at seeing the positive, and these guys are very good at seeing the negative. But I see people still every day who say Elon has always broken all of his promises on all of his companies, and that's ludicrous. The Falcon just completed its 250th successful landing and then went on to do several more the same week. That's nobody has caught up to that. You look at the Boring Company, they said, we are going to be 75% cheaper than the next closest bidder to do this project. And if we don't do it on time and on budget, there will be financial penalties. So we can't go over budget. That's written into it. And we have to do it on time. And then the pandemic hits, everything shuts down, and they still finished it on time. Where's the praise for that? Well, it's a Subway, but dumber. Okay. Yeah, but that's not the question. If they got what they purchased, they wanted a thing and they got that thing for the price on time. That's impossible. Infrastructure projects never happen on time. Same with all the early Megapack installations. 90 days or it's free. They got it done in 88 days. That's remarkable. So yeah, it's easy to miss all the good things if you're wearing blinders or stuck in a bubble.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you so much, Brian. Follow him on his YouTube channel, FutureAza, full of knowledge. Really appreciate you joining me. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.